Cougar Sports Saturday.
It's complete. Another touchdown!
Cougar Sports Saturday. A presentation of KSL Sports.
Left wing for three. He got it again!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here are your hosts, Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
What is good? On June 26th, it's Matt Baiamonte and Mitch Harper, Cougar Sports Saturday coming your way. Mitch, did anything happen this week?
Wow, it was there was no shortage of storylines this week. We have a busy show for you on this June 28th edition. We're going to be giving you an update on BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff as his defense team, and he issued a response to the allegations of sexual assault in the civil lawsuit that was filed last month. So we'll update you on that. On a much lighter note, the future of the quarterback position. They got a big-time quarterback commit, Ryder Lyons, 5-star. We're breaking that down with his high school quarterback or high school head coach, Paul Doherty, coming up in this show. And then also we'll have recruiting news, basketball talk, NBA draft. My goodness, this is a loaded show over the next 3 hours, so let's kick it off with the starting lineup.
The starting lineup. A look at the stories making headlines right now. It's time for the starting lineup on Cougar Sports Saturday.
We'd love to start with Ryder Lyons and a monumental commitment for the BYU football program because it is just that. But we got breaking news last night in the sexual assault allegation civil lawsuit with Jake Retzlaff. That is timely news, and it's a significant update in this story, Mitch. What are the details from Jake Retzlaff's team as they denied the sexual assault allegations in response to that civil lawsuit late last night?
Last night we got a response from Retzlaff and his defense team on Friday night, and Jake Retzlaff specifically and categorically denies each and every and all allegations that he bit, raped, or strangled Jane Doe AG. Retzlaff did admit that plaintiff AG initiated a text exchange with the BYU quarterback. He also admits that Jane Doe AG drove from the University of Utah campus in Salt Lake City to Retzlaff's apartment in Provo on the BYU campus in November 2023 to play video games that evening and sleep over. Jake Retzlaff then continued and stated in the response from the defense team that he did admit to sexual conduct, sexual activity with Jane Doe AG, and it was a sleepover that night. He did admit to that, but they also revealed a text exchange between Jane Doe AG to Jake Retzlaff that occurred January 2024 and February 2024. It was a back-and-forth text exchange that, as Retzlaff categorizes as fun and lighthearted text exchange concerning the rivalry between Utah football and BYU football. That was 2 months after the alleged incident in November 2023. But I think you can see the full breakdown on KSLSports.com. We got the full document from Jake's defense team and the response to the civil lawsuit allegations of sexual assault. But I don't think it was a surprise that Jake is denying, the sexual assault. But what's, I think, from the BYU side of it, Matt, is that he does admit to sexual activity. And at BYU, they have an honor code, and many, I think, have wondered if the honor code is a little bit more lax now than it was in years past. I will tell you that BYU's administration and board of trustees, they still take it very seriously. So this is all serious. There's no new update from BYU's end to this response from Jake Retzlaff and his team. But you're just kind of big picture thoughts when you saw this news come down on Friday night.
Well, it is a significant development because before it was allegations and there was no admittance from Jake Retzlaff of any wrongdoing or activity that would have hurt him from an honor code perspective.
And that's a great point because this is the first response from Jake since May 21st when the initial civil lawsuit was filed where Jane Doe AG claimed sexual assault where Jake Retzlaff allegedly sexually assaulted her, this is Jake's first response to any of that. So it's been some time, and it's led to this feeling of what is going on with Jake. People are analyzing the BYU football YouTube video saying, I see half his face on that workout room in the strength and conditioning. Oh, he's right there on the field. He's been around campus.
Right.
What's going on with Jake? And I think that's where a lot of these questions, but now you know where Jake's stance is to this matter.
And it really shines a spotlight now on the honor code side of things, because you got the legal side of things, and we've known about that for a while. Now we have admittance from Jake of a breaking of the honor code. Honestly, it's been a long time since I've looked up the honor code, Mitch.
Yeah.
So let me just break it down quickly for you. These are the points, the bullet points you agree to as a student or a faculty member being at BYU. Maintain an ecclesiastical endorsement. Be honest. The third bullet point in the honor code. Live a chaste and virtuous life, including abstaining from sexual relations outside marriage between a man and a woman. Abstain from alcoholic beverages, tobacco, tea, coffee, marijuana. Participate regularly in church services. Respect others. Obey the law and follow campus policies. And finally, encourage others in their commitment to comply with the honor code dress and grooming standards. That is the honor code. And it is explicitly stated what you need to not do while you're at BYU. And now we have Jake admitting that he broke the honor code. So now this falls into a category where, regardless of the civil lawsuit, action can be taken from whether it's the honor code, whether it's the university, whether it's higher up at the board of trustees. Should they get involved in terms of maybe punishment might be the wrong word, but there's a clear breakage of the honor code, and how do you handle that while this civil lawsuit is ongoing and seems to be ongoing for quite some time? So this is a new piece of evidence, because before it was, is there an investigation happening? Is the honor code finding any facts to where they could get involved? Well, now they clearly can get involved, and to what degree do they get involved in?
And if you're getting up to speed on this story, and I'm sure most Cougar fans have been following every step of this along the way, but if you've missed any part of it, there's no criminal activity here. It's just a civil lawsuit.
Right.
So there's no potential jail time for Jake Retzlaff. That's not on the line here. It's a civil lawsuit. And to your point, Matt, I think a lot of now Cougar fans, because, again, we're a sports show. We focus on the day in, day out of the football team and the men's basketball team and whatnot, the sports side. A lot of it will now focus in on the honor code, the school, the board of trustees, of how they view this situation with Jake Retzlaff. And I hate when people compare, because when you think honor code, I think naturally everyone thinks of Brandon Davies.
Yep.
I hated even mentioning that right now, but I hate that comparison because this is not, to me, comparable with Brandon Davies' situation. This is, to me, Jake Retzlaff's situation is almost unprecedented. It's just a one-of-one deal. And I think BYU is taking its due time because they're gathering facts on their end, but also because there's no set, just, again, there's not a similar situation to this from my memory of a high-profile BYU athlete, a QB1. We're talking about starting quarterback in a civil lawsuit, not criminal, civil lawsuit, and he's admitting to sexual activity that was consensual, but it's not anything that he's denying all the allegations of that. But I do think, though, there probably would have to be some sort of suspension, because I can't imagine a situation where Jake's trotting out against Portland State 9 weeks from today as that starting QB, where he publicly admits this, and there's still potentially, depending on between what happens now and August 30th, I would imagine that this civil lawsuit case will still be ongoing unless it's dropped
right
by Jane Doe AG. It's knowing how BYU operates. I struggle to think that he's week one starter, but again, I don't know how long you suspend him for, but you got to maintain the BYU prides itself on its standards, and there's a lot of people that want to be at BYU and they value that honor code and want to be a part of that. So it's to me, Matt, I think in ultimately we'll have Greg Skordas from Inside Sources, KSL News Radio legal analyst, joining us at the bottom of the hour to talk about this more, the reaction to Jake Retzlaff's response. But to me, in all this, there's no winner in this.
No.
BYU, Jake Retzlaff, Jane Doe AG, no one wins in this, in my opinion. And I think it's one of those deals where no matter what BYU decides with Jake on the Honor Code office and the Board of Trustees, it's going to have pushback no matter what, and whatever their decision is. So it's a tough deal, man.
Really
it is a tough situation, and I think you and I think would love to just kind of move on and talk football. I mean, I'll just be fully honest. Like, it's not a fun discussion to have.
No.
But it's a big story that everyone's asking right now. You can't go anywhere, Matt. Like, are you like me, where it's like when you talk to people about BYU sports, what's going on with Jake? Everyone wants to know.
It happened to me this morning. I'm filling up gas at Costco. There's a BYU fan in a BYU shirt. We start talking, and of course this comes up, and yeah, he said much, and I think this is the common sentiment here. To quote this fan at Costco, he said, BYU will be, quote, darned if they do, darned if they don't. And that is the unfortunate situation here, is there's not a obvious choice to where everyone comes out of it okay. Any way you slice it and dice it, because not only is Jake quarterback one at BYU, he's of the Jewish faith. This is unprecedented territory to have a high-profile athlete be of the Jewish faith, and to be honestly bringing together the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Jewish faith and these communities, bringing them together. It was such a positive thing from that perspective prior to the civil lawsuit being filed. This is so hard. I've always had an interesting relationship with the Honor Code, because it's in a lot of previous cases. We don't need to pick on Brandon Davies' situation here, because that's not the only one. But in a lot of previous cases, sometimes to me it's felt like they've been maybe a little too harsh, a little too unfair, kicking people out, ruining their lives. And in some respects, I like that they're giving people opportunities to make amends while not having their lives thrown into chaos. But on the flip side, when there's something as serious as this,
and there's public documents,
and there's admittance of sexual conduct that occurred, consensual, but he admitted that it occurred. I also believe the Honor Code is a good thing, and that needs to be upheld. And you can't just run afoul of not doing these things and not pay some sort of price. I don't know what the right price is, and I think that's the hard thing in this situation, is what is the right move to appease the Honor Code, but also not penalize Jake without this civil lawsuit having a conclusion.
Because, and to your point, if Jake, what he's saying in his response is the truth, if he's saying what, his side of the story, and if that is the actual facts here, I do feel sick at the idea that he potentially has a season or games taken away where he was under the thought that it was consensual. Now, but then you tie back to the Honor Code, and then it becomes like, this is BYU.
Right.
But then you also, on the flip side, with the alleged victim, Jane Doe AG, what she experienced and what she filed in her civil lawsuit, you feel for that too. So again, there's just no.
It's bad all around.
It's a tough situation, Matt. But I do, and that's why we wanted to lead with this, because I did want to hear Jake's side, because it took a long time. It's been 37 days, 5 weeks had gone by, and it's been probably the slowest time in terms of the news cycle for the team in those 5 weeks. So it's created this ominous, what's going on with Jake? Everyone's kind of wondering what's going on with Jake. This past Monday, we were at the BYU golf event, a Media Day golf event, and no Jake Retzlaff. Right. You look at all these hype videos that BYU's putting out with their photo shoot that they had with their creative team. There's no Jake Retzlaff. You're seeing more Trayson Bourget. No Jake Retzlaff. Jake Retzlaff is the biggest celebrity on the team from last year. He might not be the best player,
right?
But he's the biggest celebrity. It's you're not having him around. How do you continue to act like everything's fine? And everyone was saying all the right things on Monday, but it's just it's still this awkward thing right now, and you'd like some more clarity. But it was good to have his side and hear that, at least read that rather, because you do want to hear both sides in these stories. Let's take a break, though. We'll get to more, maybe the on-field stuff with BYU's quarterback situation in 2025. And then again, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll have Greg Skordas, KSL legal analyst and host of Inside Sources, here on Cougar Sports Saturday.